Okay, that was weird. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 389 of the Pixels and Ink podcast, the official podcast of CG Magazine, where we take a critical eye to gaming, comics, tech, and media. I'm your host today, Chris DeHoog, and I'm joined by our editor-in-chief, Brendan Fry.
Hello there, Chris.
Jordan Biordi.
How's it going?
And making his triumphant return, Shak Lambert.
Hi, hello.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm good. I'm chilling, just hanging.
Pretty good. As I was saying before, I was going on a pretty hot Smash Bros streak, and then I fell down a stair and dropped my Switch. So my elbow hurts. and all the shit I used to give my cousin when he used to have his 3DS, and he'd start walking down the stairs, and I'd be like, "Hey, eyes on the stairs." Here I am. Making the same mistakes. A grown-ass man, no less.
You're too deep into the Smash.
I was on a hot streak, man. It was like win after win.
Get to sit down and focus, damn it.
I had to get my coffee, so I was like, that's the beauty of the Switch. You can take it on the go.
Yeah, there's your sales pitch. You can fall down the stairs while you're playing.
Fall down the stairs playing it.
It's been a while since you've been on, Shaq. How are things?
Yeah, things have been crazy in my life. Had to spend half the year in Europe for like a family medical stuff, but that's good. That's all done. Just trying to pick up writing some more reviews as much as I can, at least right now. There's a movie coming out that we can talk about later on. I've been doing good. Just kind of hanging, keeping in there, just playing as many games. Well, actually, this month I haven't played nearly anything, which has been like a break from like
weird.
Dude, I have I literally kept a tab of every game I would finish from when the pandemic started to like whenever it would end, when I thought that would end like recently, and I'm at like 70 something.
It's not bad. That's pretty solid.
And the thing is, I hit like 60 in like 9 months.
The last time you were on, you're talking about your impressive list. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's been crazy, but yeah, no, it's good to be back on here to talk to you guys.
Oh, good to have you. And we had a lot of news crept up on us this week. So let's dive into that. With first up, you have the new PlayStation Plus program announced by Sony this week. This will take effect in June, and will bring 2 more tiers to the PlayStation Plus. So let's do a quick rundown just so everyone knows what we're talking about here. So if you have a PlayStation Plus membership now, you're on the Essential tier. That's not really going to change. Next step up is the Extra tier. It's a fun naming convention they're using, but it's going to see you get a downloadable streaming catalog of up to 400 PS4 and PS5 titles from both PlayStation Studios and third-party publishers. And that's going to cost $15 US a month. And then we have the PlayStation Plus Premium at $18 US per month, which has everything from above, plus an additional 340 PS3, PS1, PS2, PSP, PS4, PS5 titles. On top of some game trials and other stuff like that. So what do we think about this plan?
I'd say, like, speaking as a man who would preach the gospel of Game Pass for forever, it is impressive on a numbers level when you see 700 games from every single PlayStation console. That does sound impressive, and this is it's pretty good. My only thing is that one of the big differences between the PlayStation and the Xbox Game Pass is that when it comes to new releases in the first party, they're not going to be coming out for PlayStation. So God of War Ragnarok is not going to go on that PlayStation service day one, as opposed to the Xbox first party stuff. So I don't know if that'll be a major deal breaker for a lot of people, but that might be it might be a big thing, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, they were very clear about that not happening down the line either. It's not something they're going to walk back on, I think. But there's definitely more titles that would qualify for that if they were to do that. Microsoft doesn't put out as many as the PlayStation Studios family does. So I guess that would be a bigger hit for them overall.
Yeah, because they usually like with Game Pass, it's usually around like 100-ish. I want to say maybe like 120 at most. I think.
That's like yearly though, right?
Yeah, but like there'll always be like 100 or so at one time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like when I look at like the pricing for it, like it already seems like a lot to spend even like the $70 a year that I spend on a PlayStation Plus subscription for relatively little. Like the PlayStation Plus games that I get most months, like it's either I don't end up playing them or they're not really of like crazy value that I'm like, wow, like that's a really good get. This validates my subscription. And like it's all right, and there's not like a really like a huge catalog of like online games that I play that would like facilitate the need for that subscription. Now, granted, I'm in that place where it's kind of like I'd rather have it than not have it, but like to think about paying $120 a year to hold on to this and be able to play like the PlayStation 1 catalog, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, like and all of that stuff, like I don't know. It seems like it almost feels like overcharging to me. Like it's like you have a service right now that realistically for the price you're paying for it, it's not as worth it in comparison to like Shaq said, like the Xbox Game Pass that like genuinely earns its dollar value. And it's not, and Game Pass is not even that expensive from what I'm aware of. It's like
it's like 17.
Like, the base is like what, $10? Like Game Pass Ultimate is like $17, and that gets you all the PC stuff. It gives you EA Play and all that other stuff.
But like basic Game Pass gets you like,
but
what?
Still you still get like the full 100 games or so just by like the $10.
So there you go, right? So it's like with PlayStation, it's like you already have something that's pretty expensive and not really earning its value. You know what I mean? Like, and then to now just to say, hey, here's the value, but it's going to be 100 times more. Like, say what you want about Nintendo. Okay, like I'll pay $20 a year and play, every month. If I get like an Earthworm Jim, I'm happy.
Earthworm Jim 2, though, you good with that?
You know what? That's the thing. So yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Sort of like I didn't know if we were gonna say that for another segment, but they did just add Earthworm Jim 2 to the Snes collection, and I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, why did they go straight for 2 and not 1?" And I'm like, isn't 2 the one that everyone kind of universally agrees is the better one? Like that's the one I remember playing when I was a kid. I only played 2.
I only played the first one, so I don't even know what the second one was like. But
the second one's
just
so
weird. It's just weird to jump straight to it, right?
Yeah, but that was sort of that was the weird thing too. They did the same thing with Joe and Mac. They released the second one, which I would say is kind of inferior to the first one, but I grew up with the first one, so that might just be nostalgia. But like I noticed they did do that with a lot of stuff on even the old Virtual Console. Like in the Wii U Virtual Console, they never put Mario Party 1 or 3 on the N64 console. They only put 2, which I would say
3 is the best one.
No, F you. 2 is the best one. Shut your mouth.
He's like, I love 2, but I think 3 might slightly edge it out.
Shaq, no.
Listen, barely.
Shaq.
You know what? Listen. If I concede that part 2 is better, I will say the
will
music.
You shut up? Yes.
No, the music in 3 is better than.
You know what? I will say 3 had really good boards and really good music, but the one thing that I never liked about it was that was the first one in the series I felt that started like that trend that too much of it relied on chance. 2 still felt like a lot of it was based in skill. Like a lot of the mini games weren't just like, it's a complete
not
random.
Entirely.
It was a lot. It was a lot. There were a lot of games where I was playing with friends and I was just like near the end, I was like, nothing I do matters. Like something just like lands on a block and gets like 2 stars. And it's like nothing I do has any consequence. It's all random.
I played it for the first time in years, like 3 months ago, and the guy who was in 4th place for literally 90% of the game gets a bunch of stupid ass extra stars at the very end for nothing, for things that we know he didn't get the top.
Thank you for proving my point, Shaq.
It's still stupid chance.
Listen,
Oh, man.
but 2 had Horrorland. It had the themed
Yeah, the
costumes, had some of the best mini games. And most of the bonus stars at the end were just like the ones that you always knew, like the coin star, the minigame star, I think it was like the happening star. Like you knew when those were going to happen. Like 3 was just like every other turn was like, oh, here's a Shy Guy, like random chance minigame now. Hope you didn't like any of your coins because they're gone. Like, but getting back to my point, like the Switch, the like online service, like, yes, it doesn't give you a lot, but at the same time, it doesn't cost that much. So like I can part with $20 yearly for like what it is. I still think that even like jumping it up to $50 a year just to have the N64 is like totally not worth it.
Oh no, that's way too high.
Not now, anyways. Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? But like if they really expand the catalog in like a year or two, I might say, okay, maybe now it's worth, the $50. Like maybe.
Plus
again,
now, like you get the 2 expansion packs as well because you have Animal Crossing and the Mario Kart one on there now.
Yeah,
so
but
they've
those
already added value. But yes, doesn't really change the bottom line.
Yeah, because I would argue on the other side of that and say like it doesn't add that much value just because like like it's fleeting stuff, right? Like those are things that like the NES and the SNES catalogs are like nice to have, but like if you're gonna like cancel your service, you're gonna get rid of that stuff. Like
That's the thing with these services, right? They're all fleeting, right? They're all temporary.
But
as
none
long
of
as you are subscribed, you have the benefits.
But yes, but in relation to the expansion pass, it's like these are like actual like tangible add-ons to games. You know what I mean? So it's like if you part with your subscription now, you're losing all the bonus tracks. You're losing all the DLC for Animal Crossing. Like the NES and SNES catalogs, like those are the things that come with the service that you can kind of go, okay, like I know I'm not going to have these anymore, but like those are like the extra stuff that were meant for the games you purchased with money. It's kind of like, well, this is shit now. Now I'm losing that. I'm literally devaluing my game.
It might like mess with your save progress and everything too, especially with Animal Crossing. Like because it's so relied on like consistent progression, as opposed to like with the Mario Kart, it's like, all right, cool. The tracks you lose, it's like it doesn't really affect the game as much. But say the amount of features that you get in like the Animal Crossing DLC, if you just lose that because you do your subscription, that might just mess up your game. We don't
exactly, right? Like
unforeseen ways.
You're genuinely losing out. So that's that's where I'm at with this. It's like I'm upset to see it. I don't know if I'm going to alter my subscription anyway. I think I'd have to see the catalog of games first and maybe think, okay, like, is this worth it? But, again, like, I'm of fairly limited means, to have to shell out, $17 a year or a month for Netflix and then another for Nintendo, then another for Sony. And like, that's like the extent of my subscriptions, thankfully, because I'm not getting Paramount Plus or Disney Plus anytime soon because I don't want to have 19 different subscriptions. Like I'm not saying torrenting is good, wink wink, but like,
certainly wouldn't say that.
No, not on a podcast.
No.
I do not condone torrenting in any way.
During the Great Mario Party debate, I checked the prices on Game Pass, so it's $17 a month for Ultimate in Canada, and then include Gold is $12 a month. So
so technically, you're getting Gold. I forgot that you're getting Gold too with Ultimate. So like, you're really just getting more for less.
That's exactly right. So that so that's what I mean. Like Sony, so I don't know. Sony still seems really behind the curve on this when it comes to like getting on the subscriptions.
Well, no one's as far behind as Nintendo, but
because sure, but Nintendo's not trying, and Nintendo never tried when it came to online. So like, I know it's not like an excuse, but at least it's like the devil, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say that I like about this is that it has the 2 different tiers, kind of slots around that Game Pass thing. So like you have, some measures. If you don't want to go all the way, you can still get some benefit, or if you want to go all the way, you can go above what people pay for Game Pass. I'm still waiting to see the actual Canadian figures for these, like what they'll actually charge in Canadian dollars, because this is U.S. gobbledygook.
If anything, I just want to see the game roster. Like that's
too.
Yeah, that's
that above anything is just what games are you providing, and how many of
that's
these
gonna be important.
like how many of these I'm gonna consider to be worth it.
Yeah, with 400 PS4, PS5 titles plus the additional option of 340 from other platforms, like that's.
Watch it be just like a bunch
I'm pretty
of
open to
terrible
this
movie
one.
games. Watch it be like a bunch of terrible movie games. You're getting like, hey, you're getting like Toy Story 2 the game.
It's all that license crap that choked the Wii to death.
Hey, we'll give you Iron Man for the PS3.
I heard that was okay. No, I thought I heard that was okay.
I
Is it
played
bad?
I played the demo. It's terrible.
I remember someone telling me at the very least that the Green Lantern tie-in movie game was actually really good. It's
That
like,
one was better than the movie, but that's like the most backhanded compliment you could give it.
Well, it was the same with Wolverine, with X-Men Origins. Like Wolverine, like that game was like, I know so many people were
so
like,
good.
why wasn't this the movie? Like, he fights like a chupacabra. He fights a sentinel in that. Like, it's crazy.
Like we didn't get this until Logan. What happened?
Yeah.
Oh, remember
Yeah,
when that was
that being
supposed to be
said,
a whole franchise? There was supposed to be a whole series of Origin movies.
Yeah, Magneto.
Never
Well,
happened.
Magneto ended up being just first class.
Yeah,
That's true. That is true. Channing Tatum's still upset about his movie not happening with Gambit, but
yeah.
I count that as a win. I don't think that would have turned out very well. We're digressing.
I like Channing Tatum. I don't know how it would have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah. Speaking of subscription services, if you're really into GTA,
Oh,
Rockstar
God.
announced this week, or since our last episode anyway, that they are bringing GTA Plus. Well, I guess it's live now, actually. A $5.99 monthly subscription fee to get a bunch of benefits in a very old online mode.
Can you imagine? Like, I honestly cannot wrap my Shak is just dying. Who the hell wants to pay $5.99 a month to play Grand Theft Auto online? Like,
No, you're already playing. You're already paying. You're already playing it. This is for benefits.
It's just extra
Jordan.
content within. Like this. Like it's so funny how blatant Rockstar is being about this now. They're like
so gross.
like shark cards because people. I feel like people aren't buying as much shark cards anymore. Like, listen,
Probably
we
not.
need more money out of these people. So not only are we going to just upcharge people for the fourth version of the game that they've already bought like twice or three times.
Yeah.
We're gonna make you get even more money by doing this microscopic nonsense.
And the crazy thing is too is that like I was reading into it, like what they're actually giving you like genuinely is not hard to get. It's something, it's like $500,000 in like GTA money every month. Like I'm telling, you can solo those just like delivery car missions and make 500,000 in maybe like an hour or two. Like
Amazon Prime was giving me like $100K a month as an offer for me. This is nothing.
Yeah, it's so blatant now. Like
I'm looking at the list and I don't know what here is like exclusive to this, like because I never touched the GTA Online.
I think you
mode,
get some like special car mods, and again, like this is it's so shitty because it's like very blatantly pay to win. Like I know that like GTA 5 was already kind of built on that foundation anyway, because anyone who would like shell out for shark cards like would get access to all this like better stuff, and they could like, you know, afford rocket ammo out the wazoo and everything, like in better like car mods and stuff. But like then again, like you still had to unlock car mods with like racing and stuff. So I don't know. It's just it's very, very apparent, and I'm starting to think that maybe the praise we heap onto Rockstar for, you know, some of its games kind of isn't worth it anymore. Like maybe it's a little unearned.
Not that we're heaping praise on them lately. Not to say that, because we're definitely not. But yeah,
listen. Wait until GTA 6 come back, and then we're just
when 6. I know.
Once 6 comes out, people are gonna act like this never happened.
All
Yeah,
is forgiven
exactly.
at that point. Yeah. Undead
like, hey,
Nightmare
you want
Red
GTA
Dead
6
2.
financed? Then buy the subscription.
Yeah.
This is
Show us you
the
want it.
world's worst
We-
Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
god. If you didn't
No,
prove it
it's-
enough with with everything else, prove you love us. Hey, remember?
I'm just thinking of like this is kind of like the Fortnite crew, right? Like it's in a way
Yeah, I guess so.
comparisons
Yeah,
could be made.
I think yeah. I mean, I never really like. So the thing is, with as much Fortnite that I've played, I've never actually looked into like what the crew was. So I didn't know it was a paid subscription thing.
Brendan's the one with the power to highlight messages in the chat, but I would like to highlight Dana's comment of all caps. Oh my G, oh my G, OMG! It's the last day to get my girl a Fortnite crew. So Dana knows what's up with Fortnite crew.
Okay, well,
I have played 3
Dana,
games
where
of
are you?
Fortnite in my life, and I said never again because I shot someone once, and they built a CN
Well-
tower, and I'm like, I'm good.
Shaq. Well, now's the time. They took building out.
I know they have the zero build thing, but like, here's
Play
the
it the way it's meant to be played.
I attached myself to one. I was like, I'm only going to one battle royale, and I already did that with Warzone against all odds. So like, at this point, I ain't doing nothing else. It's too late for me for Apex, Fortnite. It's too
Yeah.
late for that. It's like
I mean,
I'm attached to the one.
Mm-hmm.
I recently got into Fortnite a little bit myself, thanks to Dana dragging me in a little bit. But plus Boba Fett and Spider-Man, that was a
Yeah.
battle pass that was designed to rope me in.
But,
Plus, I was getting mad every time they added a new character. I'm like, please stop
Yeah.
doing this. Like,
No,
stop trying to convince me to play this game.
some of them bothered me, I'll admit, because yeah, like when you see like the JPEGs of like Spider-Man running around with like an AK-47, or like worst of all, Batman running around with a gun, like it's kind of just like, come on, guys, like you didn't get it. But like again, I might make the argument that with Fortnite, it's marginally different just because at its core, Fortnite is free to play, and like everything that you purchase, not that it's like really like not that it doesn't matter, but like everything that you get is cosmetic. And I know like things being cosmetic is still like kind of a a psychological level of like haves versus have-nots, but like you don't necessarily need it. So like it's not perfect, but it's definitely better than a game that is already $70 now, like $80 if you get on PS5, plus an online subscription that has pay to win mechanics, like microtransactions, and now a paid subscription service. It's like, it's very clearly like, we're not trying to fund development. Rockstar is not a tiny company, the same way Epic isn't a tiny company anymore. Like they realistically like don't need to have all this stuff. They could just give you everything that you want in Fortnite. But then again too, there is a paid version of Fortnite that gets you like tons of stuff anyway. So realistically, if you just buy the Save the World, you can make enough V-Bucks and Save the World to get like stuff, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I always liked about Overwatch, in that you didn't have to pay anything to get anything, right? Like you could pay for us cosmetics, but again, it's not really changing the gameplay effects.
Don't even remind me about Overwatch, dude. That was a very dark period in my life where I kept buying loot boxes. Like, I hate microtransactions so much because I was a slave to those things. During the first year of Overwatch, I bought many.
Yeah. Well,
it was bad. It was a problem.
But that's exactly what they were designed to do. They were designed to take advantage of.
It's a gotcha game.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm at a weird place where I just kind of like, microtransactions. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, of course they did. Everyone's doing it, so why wouldn't they?
Well, and that's kind of, it's the weird thing, because there was like, it's like you really see these peaks and valleys in like gaming and the gaming discourse, where like a few years back, like you couldn't find like a pundit who was like, yeah, microtransactions are the worst. Like you couldn't throw a rock without hitting one of those kinds of guys, right? Like everyone was talking about how bad microtransactions were, and then it was just like, everyone was like moved on. It was like, okay, microtransactions are fine, but now we hate loot boxes. And then it's like, oh, loot boxes are fine, now we hate the next thing. Like,
Battle passes.
Yeah, exactly. And then in a few years from now, battle passes will be fine, and we'll all hate the next thing. Like, it's just weird how
NFTs.
Yeah, that's
okay, there you go.
at.
We're
Yeah.
already on it. Holy shit, we're already on it. Battle passes.
Yeah,
are
we're
fine.
already there.
Now we hate NFTs.
Every 2 years.
I swear to
a new
God.
cycle of hell.
I refuse to let that be the next thing that we just kind of like marginally accept.
You know what? I think
Yeah.
at the very least, I think people haven't actually accepted NFTs. Like, there was no like there are a very small majority of people who are like, NFTs are the future, and those ones are just the scam artists who are trying to make a quick buck and convince everyone that they are the future.
Yeah.
Like, the general public has kind of been like, no, NFTs effing suck. Like, it's not like with loot boxes and stuff where you had some people who were like, they're fine, I can accept it. Like,
Yeah. See, the difference is microtransactions had value of some kind. It was small and
to a
exploitative.
certain degree,
It was
yeah,
something. You got something out of it. NFTs is just like
and I think
what, a
I think
JPEG
maybe-
that you can right click and save.
yeah. I think too, part of it really is like our generation of gamers. Like, we look at it, at least I do, like, I think it bothered me more because it's like, when you really look at it, it's like those were the things, like the stuff that you usually get with microtransactions, like cosmetics and stuff like that, were the things that just used to be in video games. And so that's why it's like doubly annoying, because it's like, now I'm paying money for like costumes for a character, when it's like back in the day, it's like that was like the incentive to keep playing the game was to unlock the cool costumes and like find the little secrets. Like, so I don't know. It's shady, and Rockstar is increasingly becoming like the villains and characters of their games. So
Yeah.
It's rubbing off on them. Yeah. Yeah. If that game wasn't so insanely lucrative for something that's been available for so long, yeah, I could maybe be like, yeah, okay, you can add some value to like fund your team or something, but that's not at all a concern in this case. Like, you make
they're crazy.
by
like,
some
they're
reports
so...
like $1 million a day at least on this game. Like,
it's not like they're
average,
working on the
so-
next, it's not like they're working on the next Max Payne or State of Emergency. So
or Red Dead
No,
or
dude,
State of
they're
Emergency
doing all
would hit
this-
so different right now.
You know what? Where is Midnight Club? Give me another Midnight Club, because Los Angeles came out in like 2008, 2009.
That's been a while.
It's been so long, and they have just let that thing just die out, as opposed to just giving us Grand Theft Auto 5 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, they merged it into GTA. It's like GTA's just gonna be everything now. They'll add bullet time and call it like the Max Payne edition.
We almost had Midnight Club Online instead. That would have been
great.
How great would that have been? Yeah.
And Midnight Club Online Plus, probably. So
yeah.
Anyways, moving on to a little more
Speaking
disappointing.
of games that aren't coming out,
a different kind of disappointing news. Nintendo announced this week that the Breath of the Wild sequel has been delayed into 2023. They need a little more time still to work on it. And we still don't have a title for it.
I mean, do you really need one?
I'm telling you,
I'm tired of saying the Breath of the Wild sequel.
No, they can just put that as the official title, just the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
You might as well now. People will be like, what the hell game is this? Where's the Breath of the Wild sequel? Oh, this is it? Okay.
If they do not go for the easiest, like nostalgia tie-in to Zelda 2 Link's Adventure and just call it like Ganon Returns or like Return of Ganon. They are just like, they're leaving money on the table, man. Like,
I mean, it's
going to the sky.
I mean, Jordan, it's going to sell all the copies in the world anyway.
I know, but come on. What a good name that would have been. Because that's literally what it is. It's clearly Ganon Returns.
No, dude, listen.
It's
they got to bring back. They got to bring back one of the CDI titles.
Ooh.
Oh man, I would love to see if the Wand of Gamelon like actually shows up as a weapon. I would be like, this 10 out of 10. This is perfect.
No notes.
Breath of the Wild 2: The Faces of Evil return.
I want Zelda to like kill someone and just be like, good.
Excuse me.
Good.
Squadala.
That was cold, man. Zelda was cold as ice in that game.
This piece is what all true warriors strive for. Yeah, there was no real reason, I guess, given besides the fact they just want to make it something special, which is as vague as it
You
gets.
know,
I mean, why not?
and and that's the kind of thing too. And it was pretty like nice when I was watching that that video. I mean, I'm surprised they kind of announced it so like quietly. Like you'd think that they like I didn't see anything about it. Like it just, it was just one of those things that just popped on Twitter or not on Twitter, sorry, on YouTube, and it just was there, and I was like, oh shit, like an announcement about Zelda. What could this be? And the response to it was generally pretty positive. I didn't see a lot of people be like, "What the fuck? I want it now!" Like they were all kind of like pretty cool, and most people were kind of saying like guys, take your time. Like we want the best version of what you're going to give us. So like if you need to take like another year, like I think more and more people like kind of like in relation to we've talked about this before, like looking at most notably Cyberpunk. People are kind of a little bit more forgiving of delays now. Like, it's like, we don't want another Cyberpunk. Take your time. It's fine. Like,
yeah.
And I saw,
Plus,
oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we have a lot of coming out on Switch this year already. Anyways, like this fall, like, you got like the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah,
we've already had a lot of stuff. The new Fire Emblem.
Is Splatoon 3 this year?
Splatoon 3 is the summer, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Switch Sports comes out in April.
Isn't Xenoblade?
That's the game of the year right there.
That was the other one I was trying to think of. Xenoblade 3. Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So we don't have a shortage of things to play on Switch this year. So
I saw a lot of people sort of like sharing it, and it really like still stands true. The infamous words of Shigeru Miyamoto, a rushed game or like a delayed game is good eventually, but a rushed game is bad forever. So I kind of just I will stand by what I said, which is if they take another year on this game and weapons still shatter like glass, I will be mildly annoyed.
Honestly, that's why I couldn't get into it as much as I wanted to, because like that was like the second game I bought for Switch. I was so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna do all this stuff, and honestly, like I really just couldn't get into it because someone had described it as it's a game where you have to make your own fun, and because like the survival element of it is something that I was never really all that big about in other games. And even though it is, like, I will say it is well executed in Breath of the Wild, it's still those features just in general are too frustrating for me to get past. And so I got like through a certain point and I was like, you know what? I get it. It's not for me. I think like I've seen a couple jokes concerning the delay of this new game is that some people are like, oh, they played Elden Ring and they're like, we got to go back to the drawing board. we got to top this.
Yeah. We gotta reconfigure. Well, I'm a staunch believer, and this is like when I was seeing all these like different like Nintendo properties that were kind of coming out with like different studios, like like they let they let like Ninja Theory try Metroid. They let what was it? Koei Tecmo.
It was Tecmo Metroid. It was.
Was it Tech? I thought it was.
Team
Ninja.
Team Ninja.
Yeah, Team Ninja.
For Other M.
Other M.
For Other M.
It was Team Ninja. Sorry, I said Ninja Theory. And then Koei Bandai Namco with the Zelda like Musou games. So I was like, if they Bandai
Namco also works on the Smash Brothers as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So I was kind of saying, like, you know what, like, like they should experiment more. Like, let From Software try their hand at Zelda. They could probably make something like genuinely cool. But you know what?
It'd be very sad though. Very sad. A lot of British
accents. And I will never play it because I respect those games, but I hate those games.
Imagine, imagine the lore they could come up with for a Zelda game. Like they could really
It'd be weird.
It. Like it would be weird. So weird, but it would be so good.
There'd be a lot of
Nintendo already did this with Breath of the Wild in the first place, so
well,
the tone of Breath of the Wild is like that kind of Dark Souls From Software tone where the world's broken. There's like the music is all shattered, even in the background.
Very discordant, and
Yeah, they already did that as Breath of the Wild.
I will say to Shaq's point, like yeah, like the whole weapon system, like even like going back to it, like last month, it really was that thing where it's like playing it again, like from the start. Like I was genuinely surprised how like new it felt. Like it didn't feel like I was playing a game I had already played. Like it still felt brand new, like I was experiencing it for the first time. And like yeah, like when you play it, like the scope of the world, the freedom of the exploration, like it really draws you in. But yeah, the first time your weapon just shatters like glass, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I remember why this game bothered me. Like it just sucks you right out of it. I don't know why they went in that direction. It was like such a weird choice. And I'm not even like one of those guys who's fully against like weapon durability systems in games. Like yeah, they're a bit of a bugbear, for a lot of people, and like they're not like, I don't know how much they add to a game versus how much they kind of subtract, but like, like comparing it again to a game like Dark Souls or like Bloodborne, like you have a weapon durability system. All it doesn't make your weapons completely unusable. It just like, over time it reduces how much damage they do, and you got to stay on top of that. It's just all part of the combat system, right? And the survival element of it. Like it's not no reason they couldn't have put a blacksmith somewhere and have them, sharpen up your sword once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I still will play Breath of the Wild any day over Elden Ring, but that's it.
I mean, Elden Ring is fun. It's just weird.
Just Breath of the Wild feels more rewarding.
It's just Souls.
Because like you're
runes, Jordan. Runes.
I meant to, like, it's Souls in the Dark Souls sense. But yeah, it's Dark
and I had so many friends ask me like, "Yo, you gotta play Elden Ring," and I keep having to tell them that's not happening ever.
I'll say to you, Chris. I mean, is it more rewarding? I mean, I don't think I've ever felt the way. I don't think I've ever felt the way I felt about beating a boss in a Souls game, or even Elden Ring for that matter. Like the way I felt when I beat Ganon, and I was like, that was it. Yep. That was the king of evil, really? Just lumbering around doing absolutely nothing while I peg him in the leg with arrows? Okay.
Well, it's the journey along the way.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's just like Elden Ring. It's just like, okay, I've spent hours throwing myself against this region. I beat all these enemies. I go to the next region, and there's just more.
It's just worse.
Like just more.
The feeling of satisfaction in those games is just completely overwhelmed by like an overwhelming sense of anxiety, because you're like, I know that it took me forever to beat this, and I know literally what's coming up next is going to be 10 times worse. So why am I still doing this?
It's like I overcame the first area. I moved to the next area. As I'm trying to establish a next save point, a giant freaking bear came out of the ground and just annihilated me. Like, thank you, FromSoft. May I have another?
I will say, there's also a great anticipation in getting to see what the next big boss is going to be, and what its moves are, and how you're going to work around it, and how you're going to like plan your every attack,
crush you into the ground,
how it's going to crush you into the dirt, but like it makes you, more resilient over time. It really is that like that hard hero's journey where you have to overcome every challenge, and by the end of it, you are as tempered as the steel in your hand.
But it's like Breath of the Wild at least had that exploration to make it a more rich experience, not just constantly throwing myself against Lionels or something. Like,
yeah.
But here's the thing, though. At least when you look at Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring, at least Breath of the Wild doesn't have like giant spiders that look like human hands.
That's true. It does not.
And you know what?
Have you seen those things are literally maybe the scariest looking thing I've ever seen in a video game.
I'll say, you know what? It's worse for it. It's worse. It's worse for it. I tell you. I didn't see a single Skulltella in Breath of the Wild, and you know what? As much as I hate spiders, frankly, I was a little disappointed.
I'm happy that they don't look like human hands.
Speaking of human hands, the Oscars.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was a good segue.
Jesus! Oh God, Chris!
You know what? Here's the thing. That's a 10 out of 10 segue, but I hate you for it.
I hate myself for it. I hate my health. I hate the internet for showing it to me all day.
Oh, Jesus!
I'm so mad. I lobbed that up for you.
Appreciate it. Had to get off that horse there.
Wow.
Yeah. So Oscars, well known for their open hand slaps. Do you want to talk about the slap first? Or want to talk about
Yeah.
winners first?
Honestly, I feel like that thing is going to dominate a lot of the competition. So let's just talk about the winners first.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. Have you guys seen any of the Best Picture nominees? Because I went out of my way to watch all of them right beforehand. But just to kind of recap, the big winner was Coda, which is by Apple Plus. So the first streamer to actually win a Best Picture. Netflix has been trying for years to try and do it.
The Academy has a thing against Netflix right now, though.
Exactly.
That
And
too.
so the little movie that could, this little kind of family drama about the child of deaf adults, it ended up being the big winner. And this is honestly kind of nowhere because I track a lot of that, the award season stuff. And for 90% of this whole season, the big one is Power of the Dog, the Benedict Cumberbatch Western.
I did not love that movie.
I appreciate it more than I like it, but I still enjoyed it. Mainly because
I think it's really well done. I think it plays it safe in some areas and doesn't play it safe in others. And I think it could have went a little bit further with the storyline.
Mhm.
It kind of just especially that end for me really felt rushed. Oh, wait, he's dead now. It happened.
Yeah.
It's good.
But I think for me, the thing of Power of the Dog is that it's great to watch Benedict Cumberbatch being the world's biggest hater ever. Because this man does so many things to just spite people, mainly Kirsten Dunst. But but the thing is, this drama was the big front runner for months, for almost this entire season. And then something started happening where Coda started winning all these smaller awards and getting all this bigger momentum. And so even down to people place bets on what wins. And the big one ended up being Coda, so it ended up being the big winner. So it was a kind of a shock. I'm not crazy about the movie myself, but I'm not gonna be against anyone who's with it, who's super happy for it, because it is it's a pretty decent movie. Yeah,
I can honestly say that I've never been more detached from the Oscars than I have been this year. I forgot they're happening, and I've seen Dune and Encanto out of this whole list of movies.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, even for me, even out of this these 10 winners or these 10 nominees, this is the least invested I've been, at least compared to other years where I had one where I can go wholeheartedly for, as opposed to say a Parasite or a Moonlight or Get Out or whatever.
I love Parasite.
Parasite. Parasite's a perfect movie. It's one of those ones where I genuinely would give it a 10 out of 10, no, without any reservations. But at the very least, with Coda winning, my main thing was just I don't want Don't Look Up to win, because I hated that movie with a passion I didn't think I would actually have for it. It's atrocious.
Really?
It's awful.
You know what? I thought it was okay. I was all right, I see what they're doing. It's a little on the nose, but I was it's it's just okay. I wasn't raving about it, but I don't know. I didn't see.
It's a 2.5-hour SNL skit. I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Just to go the other winners really quickly. Jane Campion won Best Director for Power of the Dog, the second woman back to back to win Best Director. Best Actor goes to Will Smith. We'll talk about him later. I know we will.
And he deserved it.
Oh no, the thing is he really did deserve it. It was a really good performance.
You might say he slapped the competition.
Shut up.
You might. You shouldn't.
Best Actress was Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I didn't see.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I saw the trailers for that action. I was like, "What the hell is this? This looks really interesting."
It's a very showy performance from the looks of it.
Just the whole dynamic with her and Andrew Garfield seems interesting, but
I enjoyed it, but I don't think it was Best Picture winning.
Yeah, there's a lot of people don't like it, but they're she's the main bright spot. Best Supporting Actor goes to Troy Kotsur in Coda, who I genuinely think is the best part of that movie by a mile, because he's just a cool ass dad who smokes weed and just he's just deaf and hangs out, smokes weed, and just and fishes. That's all he does. And Best Supporting Actress is Ariana DeBose in West Side Story, which I didn't realize. 60-year parallel, because Rita Moreno won it for the same role 60 years ago. The first queer queer woman of color to win an Oscar, which is very, very cool.
Definitely.
And also West Side Story. As a non-musical person, loved it because it's legitimately just Spielberg going, listen, I'm still the GOAT. I've been in the game for like 50 years and I'm still better than all of you. Kenneth Branagh won Best Original Screenplay Best Original Screenplay for Belfast.
I mean, that's a fantastic movie. So
I was not crazy about it.
It's weirdly dark because if you know what's going on behind the scenes, it's just like, oh.
I mean, it opens with a big ride because it's set during the Troubles, which is like the Catholic Protestant wars and riots that are happening. Coda won Best Adapted Screenplay. Drive My Car won Best International Feature, which was a given considering it was in the Best Picture race. Great movie, but it's not for everyone because it's a 3-hour slow burn, but it's very good.
Yep, it is. It definitely is that.
Encanto, Best Animated Feature. Summer of Soul, which is my favorite movie of last year, won Best Documentary. And then Dune basically swept all the technical awards. So like best sound, cinematography, editing, it deserved all that stuff.
Let's be clear, it's a good movie, but it is a brilliant execution on that storyline.
Yeah, I'm just more excited for where it's going to end up with these like sequels. From what I understand,
it's one sequel and a series, I believe. So a new movie and then a series after the movie, all by the same director.
Well, he was saying something to speak about wanting a trilogy, so I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Oh, is he doing a trilogy now?
Well, there's talk about it, anyways.
Potentially, yes.
I mean, you could do it, but sure. I mean,
it seems weird knowing
they're halfway through the book now.
Work, but yeah, exactly. Like what's left of the book and what comes after that book.
Like there's a lot of weird spiritual stuff, but unless his entire second movie is just him just kind of wandering the desert, being deep. I don't know how this.
I heard that he wants to, because there's multiple books in Dune, right? It's not.
There's about 12. It's something ridiculous.
Exactly.
And then like,
but you can't just follow them because the second book takes place. It's the sons of the people that are in the first book, and then after that, it's like 1,000 years after that. So it jumps in vast years. You don't have the same people involved at all.
Plus, by the third book, it's off the metaphysical rails entirely. It's insane.
I'm assuming he's probably going to take like elements from those books and potentially just do it that way, if possible. But just to keep going, the show itself, like again, we're going to talk about that whole incident in like just a bit, but like the show itself was really uninteresting.
Yeah,
it's
100%
trying very, very hard to like. The problem is not just like the thing, but just it feels like the show doesn't really like movies all that much, because considering like there's a whole bit of Amy Schumer going like animated movies, how only kids like them and adults endure them.
That's not true. That's not true.
Jokes about like not watching the movie, like no one watched this movie, like when they made the joke about like The Last Duel or whatever.
I'm going to throw it out. I mean, sure, The Last Duel is a thing, but I will say that I want the hatred of animated movies to stop in Hollywood.
Yeah,
because they always seem like these are kids things, but there's so many brilliant expressions of creativity done through animated features. And until the Oscars accept that that's not just the kids category, it won't really ever go beyond just selecting the best kids movies that year. And I think that's what they use it for.
Plus the hypocrisy of that, because didn't the show start with that Bruno number? Like, didn't the show kick off with that?
It didn't start with it, but yeah, there was the whole thing where they played They Don't Talk About Bruno, because it's the big hit, like the big song, and even then they didn't really do the
legit
song.
hit.
The only other thing I saw of the award ceremony itself, except for like the thing that like the few odd quotes taken out of context, was that number, and it was horrible.
The thing is, what it wasn't even like they did like the first verse, and then they got Megan Thee Stallion, who I'm in love with, but they had her do like a rap about the Oscars instead of doing the song. And I know that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. again, I didn't have a problem with it, but that's just my extreme bias going in. And also, I've never seen Encanto and haven't I just know that song exists.
But my thing
It's
is,
hard to avoid.
but the thing is, like, just
Yeah.
kind of downplaying every one of these animated features because there's so much talent that goes into these things. Yes,
Mhm.
some years are like, okay, we had 3 to pick from, and one's really bad, but whatever. But there are some years, so there's a lot of genuinely fantastic animated features, and the fact they do view them as just like the kids category and just kind of a throwaway category for a lot of people is bad for everyone that does work on these films, especially for people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into these movies, and they are legitimately well done.
Plus, like how many actors and actresses in the audience that night have done at least one animated movie that has been pretty successful, right? Like
I think Amy
Also, it doesn't
Schumer's done some. Let's be clear here. I think she's done some animated features.
It doesn't help that also they constantly just give it to Disney.
Yeah, that's
Disney's
Disney
one-
controls
Disney,
so much.
Disney and or Pixar has
Or
won it,
Studio
I think,
Ghibli whenever Studio Ghibli has a film there.
No,
No,
not
but
even. They've only won it once.
There was one I saw there was someone on TikTok was talking about that, how the most of the panelists at within the Academy,
it's whoever's won before, so it'd be ex-Disney people doing it.
So they typically regard like you guys were saying, they regard these movies like kids movies that they don't even they abstain. Typically they just abstain from voting. So that the one year where in the best animated category there was it was Frozen, 2 other movies, and The Wind Rises, and Frozen won just because that was the one that 2 out of the however many judges had kind of seen because their kids watched it.
Yeah.
Well, how it works at the Oscars is you have to be part of the Academy, and you get to vote on. Everyone gets to vote on certain categories in the Best Picture, and then only select people based on what they've won before or what part of the Academy they're part of get to vote on the others. So it does kind of like cinematography. It's usually cinematographers only can vote.
Yeah.
It does. But I don't know how the Best Animated category might work. It might work the same as Best Picture, and that means everyone in the Academy can vote. And if most people in the Academy feel that it's not that important, it's kind of a throwaway category for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I just want to go count. There's only been 6 movies that are not Disney or Pixar that won it. So literally,
a French film one year, didn't they?
It's Shrek, Spirited Away, Wallace and Gromit, Happy Feet, Rango, Into the Spider-Verse, and that's it. Everything else is Disney or Pixar.
Even this year, 3 of the 5 nominees were Disney, like Encanto,
that's
the problem.
Maya and the Last Dragon. But yeah, it's hard because they do a lot of really good animated movies. They have really good pedigree.
But there are a lot of animated movies. There are a lot of animated movies that come out that are not from North America. Is another thing you have to look at. There's a lot from Japan. There's a lot from Europe that we might not see, but are huge films elsewhere, and we don't even consider them.
Yeah, there's definitely a bias there. Plus the potential inbreeding, essentially, of the award ceremony, or it's the award selection process. So
yeah.
There's all that too.
They'll vote, and if the Academy doesn't know, if they're well, I'm going to nominate the ones I know of, and there's this weird Japanese film. Well, I'm not nominating that. My kids haven't watched that yet.
Well, yeah, actually, one of the movies, Flea. This seems like it's a foreign produced film.
Yeah, foreign produced film, which is very much that one is clearly a mature animated movie where it's not aimed for kids or families or whatnot.
I've never actually heard of it, to be honest.
I hadn't before either. It's just more it's from what I see right here. Yeah, it follows the story of a man under alias who shares a hidden past of fleeing his country for the first time. So it's like a boy who's fleeing Afghanistan to Denmark.
Oh yeah, that seems like a documentary. It's a documentary animated movie. So
they kind of threw it in with the animated kids fair just to kind of fill the category out.
That seems fair.
Yeah, because speaking of the Into the Spider-Verse too, the Mitchells versus the Machines is a Lord and Miller film as well. So
yeah. I was just looking at, so I literally just typed animated movies into Google because I wanted to see just to refresh my memory. It's and it's crazy to me that a Laika movie has never won Best Picture. How did Kubo and the Two Strings not win?
I mean, let's be clear here. I don't think many Laika films are actually good. I think they're beautiful. Kumo and the Two Strings is one that I think could have won, but a lot of them are pretty bad. They look great, but Yeah, not
or
great, but,
Academy bad.
I mean,
Anyways, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
like the thing is, some of them, the ones that are good, are very, very good, like Coraline.
Yeah,
And then the ones that aren't super great are just like Missing Link. Missing Link is fine.
it's fine, but it's just like that happened.
Yeah. But I mean that's with like almost any animation studio, like at least
Mhm.
recently.
I mean, it's hard because there's a lot of great animation in the world, but a lot of it's
Mhm.
being done for TV, or a lot of it's being done outside of North America
Yeah.
because there's still that kind of stigma that animation is a kids medium. So you're not going to get a massive budget. Like animated movies cost in the hundreds of millions to make. You're not going to get that budget and put it to a movie that isn't for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though it might
Fair
be
enough.
like a genius storyline and a great animated concept, you're like, well, it's not for kids, so we're scrapping it.
Pretty much.
There's no
Yes,
song.
Anyway.
I want a catchy
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna talk about it now. This is gonna
Let's
be
do it.
Oh,
let's just get into
Get
the
it out of the way.
discourse. So all right. Like if you've been living under a rock for the past 6 days, so what happened was that Chris Rock had come out to be the presenter for the Best Documentary Feature Award. And he was cracking jokes, and he
as
made
Chris
a joke.
Walkers tend to do.
Yeah, as Chris Rock tends to do. You know, he's known to be, you know, somewhat edgy comedian.
Bit of a jokester, I've heard.
Yes. And so he made a joke at Jada Pinkett Smith, saying, "Oh, hey, she's preparing for the role in G.I. Joe 2, referring to her being bald-headed because she suffers from alopecia."
Mhm.
And Will Smith walks up. He gets up and smacks him right in the face.
Clap.
Comes right back to his seat, and at that moment, everyone, myself included, thinking, "Oh, it's a bit. Like it's
Yeah.
funny or whatever." I think even Chris Rock was kind of chuckling it out, and it's not until that Will Smith yells twice. He says, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth."
Fucking mouth.
Yeah, and the sound, like on the live broadcast for us, was completely muted for like 2
Yeah.
minutes. And that's when we were all like, no, something is very wrong.
Yeah,
Even people
'cause-
who were in the audience, I saw some tweets and some like videos from people who were there. They're like, no, that we didn't
He was
know. Like it was
pissed.
very, very real.
Yeah.
And this is like minutes before Will Smith is essentially he was already the front runner to win this award. So everyone's like, what's going to happen? Like this is completely out of nowhere. And even Chris Rock is just shook about it. And he does win the Oscar for King Richard.
Yeah.
And he gives a very, very bizarre emotional speech. Because he's still in shock from everything. And just the internet has been set ablaze. People are calling for Will Smith to be arrested, which is in my opinion, is ridiculous. But the thing is that just like keeping it to the facts is that happened. He won the award. Chris Rock is not pressing charges. He's like, I'm dropping this. There's a lot, but yeah, he not pressing charges. Chris Rock just recently did a comedy show like last night where he just said, "Hey, how was your weekend?" And just he's still processing it.
Yeah.
There's an immense backlash against Will Smith. He put out a apology on Instagram saying, "I'm sorry to you, Chris, for my actions. That's not me." But essentially, the most beloved, easily friendly black man in Hollywood is now seen as a villain because of just one moment of rage. I will say this, that like, and this is speaking in subjective terms. The way people are acting about this is absolutely ridiculous. Because I've seen so many things of just people like. I've seen people go like, "Man, what if that was Betty White up there?" Like people making weird equivalents of like, "What if Betty White was there and he smacked her and she fell her head and then she died?" It's like,
I mean,
what does that mean?
That's apples to oranges right there. Like that doesn't even.
That is definitely dog whistling right there. That is definitely saying, well, this is just an unstable person, blah blah blah. I do think his actions were out of line.
Oh, 100%. Like you don't like. no matter how I feel about this, it's not like, oh, I'm not gonna say, oh, he was right, because no, you don't slap somebody like that on television. But like,
I mean, there's the ways people are basically equivalent. Like, this is basically like he's like out of control. I'm like, no, I mean, he did something wrong, and I mean, if Chris Rock wants to press charges, he could press charges, and he'd be fine to do so. But
he didn't.
So that's the end of the situation. Like, if they're both grown adults, if they're not. He smacked a kid, it'd be a different thing, but that's not what happened. You can make all these equivalents here. That's like, if it was this, I'm like, yeah, but that's not what happened. You're just trying to make it worse than it is. That's like someone saying,
"What if Betty White slapped him?"
Yeah,
or like, that's like the old joke of like you're driving a little off to the side of the road. Like, what if you hit a pedestrian on the sidewalk? Like, well, I'm not on the sidewalk, so
like
that's that didn't have to say.
They're like, yeah, what if this happened, or what if like no that, but you could say that, but it didn't happen. We saw what happened. It's not even like there's like a reasonable doubt. It's like, no, we all saw the same thing,
and it was wrong, but it's not like he's an out of control lunatic. It's just he did something wrong.
He just anger. The thing is even that, because I had a long conversation with my mom about this just earlier today, and this entire thing is that like no matter what, Chris Rock did a very disrespectful joke at something that a lot of Black women are suffering about. Like, so like in that moment, I understand. Like, again, I don't condone anything of what Will Smith did, but like I understand that rage because of just like, no matter, because people can make all these jokes or whatever, but like, again, we don't know these people. Like, she's been upfront about her journey to an extent. No matter what she says happened, there's a lot more that didn't happen that we don't know. That might be like, this is. He might have seen her go through hell that we don't know about.
Or it could have been something as simple as she said, "I don't feel like going to the Oscars today. I don't feel myself," and him kind of supporting her, then that happening, and then him feeling that he let her down. That it could be something as little as that. We don't know. We don't know the situation. We don't know what they're going through, and we don't know where his mind's at. They might not have been in a good like mental space to be at the Oscars in the first place. And this just set them off. That could happen. Like, we don't know. We are not. As much as we view celebrities as our friends, they are just people, and they go through the same stuff we all do. Some days they're having real off days. Sometimes they're having great days. But we can't expect them to always be perfect. And this is just a sign of that. And the fact that the internet has basically decided that we should all make fun of every part of this is not helping the situation either.
The whole thing, just top to bottom, is ridiculous. Like, that's a really poor taste joke. Chris Rock's also known for having that kind of reputation. Ricky Gervais has said all kinds of like similar crap about all kinds of people at previous events. Like the reaction to it, and just people like, oh, we don't condone violence when they have condoned it actively before. John Wayne comes to mind.
Because that's another aspect of it, is that the Academy is currently like under deliberations on like what to do about it. And a lot of people are saying if they boot Chris or Will Smith from the Academy, or if they rescind his Oscar, and meanwhile they've given awards to all these other people, it's gonna be a bad look on them. And even they've been saying stuff like, "Oh, we asked Will Smith to leave the Oscars and he refused to," but then another report from another source is saying, "Oh, they never asked him to do that. They never asked him to leave." So it's like a lot of conflicting things. Like, things are just complete utter chaos, and I wish they weren't. Like, ideally, this situation should have never happened for what should have been like the great, like the pinnacle of like Will Smith's like career.
Yeah. Well, so like this is like it's a weird thing to talk about, and I'm gonna try to tread lightly because I've seen I've seen a lot of like people talking about it from a lot of different aisles, and the things that stood out to me were like, so like when I sort of like saw that happen for the first time, I kind of had that same reaction where I was like, wow, like this was really out of line, like that was like Will Smith is completely overreacting. But then I saw a lot of very interesting posts by primarily like Black women who were kind of saying like the idea that people think that it's like so like that there are people are so outraged by what Will did does come from a place of like genuine white privilege, because like that's like a very sort of like you know, sheltered response that we would have, like, oh no, he should have just done the right thing and sat there and been like, Chris, I didn't approve of that. Like, when like historically, you know, black people have basically been made to like through colonialization and through like systemic racism to like bite their tongues and sort of like be prim and proper. And the thing that sort of like a lot of the conversation that stood out to me was, you know, were some like black female creators who were saying like in that moment, like and even like Tiffany Haddish kind of said the same thing. Like he's like, I didn't like, it wasn't a thing that they saw like a guy getting out of line. It's like they saw, you know, a black man standing up for a black woman who is suffering through alopecia. And like, you know, again, when you actually look at it through that racial lens, like black women and black men have been vilified for the way that their hair is, right? So like Chris Rock, especially, who like, you know, made a movie about like, you know, like
made a documentary about it,
you know, like going after her, like whether or not how much you want to believe the reports is that, oh, he didn't know she had alopecia, like you know, kind of going after for it, like it, you know, it's like in that moment, you know, Will got up and he defended his wife, right? And it's like, I just saw, like, I've seen a lot of people kind of say like, you know, like historically black women really haven't been defended by both white or black men.
100%. Yeah.
And I say
true.
that like as a white guy
as a
with
white
no
man,
fucking clue about what I'm talking about. So like,
but like it's very clear, just like in like you look at like from a society, like just in society in general, and how black women have been portrayed in media and just in general, how they have to be angry or tough or whatever, that they're never been cared for in the way that they should have been or should be.
So that's why it's like I was seeing a lot of this stuff. So like it's, you know, the one thing that I kind of heard the most, and you know, and I think this applies not just to us but to everyone, is that like a lot of people are saying like, white people, just stay the fuck out of this. Like this ain't your moment.
Genuinely,
you know?
like it's you. Like there are some opinions that are like, all right, cool, I understand, but there's times where like they're speaking from a place of just like, you have no idea what you're talking about right now,
it's
and
pure privilege, like, because when a lot of like seeing a lot of like you know the conversations that like black women specifically were sort of having about this, it like what they were saying genuinely did remind me of like when the Black Lives Matter movement started. And I know so many white people who were like, you know, I just don't think that they're doing it the right way. I think maybe they need to like, you know, do it a bit and be a bit more peaceful and this and that. And it's just like, but like, how are they supposed to be? How are you supposed to be peaceful? Like,
yes,
how like they're
people
are getting killed in the streets and like
are literally dying.
That's what I mean. Like, they're supposed to be like, you know what? I wag my finger at you, good sir. Like, so it's what I mean. So it's like in this moment, it's like we realistically, we don't know, like specifically like Brendan was saying, like what was going on. We don't know, like, you know, what the situation with like Will and even Jada like is, like where like the mindset they are. But I definitely think that like the villainization that Will is receiving is probably a bit out of line, because like you said, like, you know, Ricky Gervais went up there one year and just like he just like went off the rails, and his constant refrain was like, whatever, if you know, screw you guys, I'm never coming back, so I don't care, right? But like,
wasn't the Golden Globes?
Yeah, Golden Globes. It was Golden Globes.
That was the Golden Globes.
And that's also one of those things, because like Ricky Gervais, that's his shtick, because he's still technically like, his whole thing is that he's an outsider to Hollywood culture. That like he just looks at it from a like this whole thing is phony. So like, it's not surprising, but it's not disappointing. It's not surprising. It's just like, all right, cool, whatever. That's his shtick or whatever.
But I think I do think the big thing to bring up here is the fact that there have been a lot of white men that have almost rushed the stage just because things have been said that they didn't agree with. You had John Wayne and you had Clint Eastwood, and they both were trying to angrily attack a woman on stage that talking about like native rights.
Right.
So-
When it was when I think when Marlon Brando won for Godfather.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
And he didn't go on stage,
He
so
didn't go.
she went up on stage to talk
Yeah.
about indigenous rights and everything.
And they were like angrily trying, and people had to hold them back, and like no one said a thing. They're like, yeah, that's just them. They're just angry people.
Noted garbage person John Wayne.
Oh God, he's a garbage person, and Clint Eastwood ain't much better. So
It's well, that's the thing, right? So like it's a couple things like that I was just thinking right now. Like like number one, yes, like Ricky Gervais is seen that way, but it's like it's also like as a white European guy, like no one's gonna really like harshly criticize him for like the way he was behaving at the Golden Globes. In fact, more people actually praised him as this like rebel against the system, right? But in the same vein, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't there like a couple years ago where Will Smith actually was protesting the Oscars because of the lack of black representation, and other people were calling him out and saying like, you don't know how lucky you are to be here, kind of thing? Like,
it's funny you bring that up, because that was a couple years ago where he just protested and didn't show up. Him and Jada didn't show up, and Chris Rock was hosting, and he made a joke where literally, I remember this joke because I saw the clip like not too long ago. They're like, Jada protesting the Oscars is like me protesting not being in Rihanna's panties or something like that. It's like, it's not gonna, like, we weren't gonna get in it anyway. It's like, all right, you didn't. Like already right now, I mean? Like I feel like she already doesn't like you because you're just like disrespecting her like crazy already. Like, and the other thing about this is just that like my frustration is with them, with the like in terms, it's just media outlets going to other celebrities who have nothing to do with it and asking their opinion. Like the Jim Carrey thing. I love
I don't.
That was so frustrating because it's like it doesn't involve you in any way.
Yeah, dude.
No,
yeah.
He's just like, I don't. He's like, I don't like violence. Blah blah. Blah. I'm like, I mean, that's fine, but you were not involved. That's. I mean, I'm glad you don't like violence. Good on you.
That's something else I wanted to bring up too, because the way it feels to me too, especially like a lot of times when this happened, is that like there definitely is this sort of like like this wall between like traditional like stand-up comedians and like the like Hollywood like comics. So like seeing all these predominantly white comedians be like, no, Chris was totally in the right. Comedy is comedy, and you don't deserve to get slapped for making a bad joke. It's like like the fact that they kind of like are so eagerly rushing to his defense is kind of thing what you see like where like they're naturally going to like, there's such an insulated group, right? Because like as much as I loved Dave Chappelle, and I'm still kind of like weird about Chappelle right now because when he was making transphobic joke after transphobic joke, everyone's like, no, he's the king, jokes are jokes, let it be that. And it's like, well, no, because when you make jokes enough, people start taking them seriously. And he's the guy who straight up said like he got away from his show because people weren't taking his jokes the way he meant them to be taken. Like they were taking them in an actual racist way. So it's like
them dollar bills, man.
Exactly. He walked away because of his apparently like strong morality about comedy. But then like, the way the people want to use this as a shield now, like, oh, like comics can just say whatever they want and they don't just like, no, okay, yeah, maybe you can make the argument that sure, nobody deserves to get slapped, although let's be real, some people deserve to get slapped once in a while.
But that's just like that's on like personal case by case level. Not on,
what I mean?
And the thing is, like, no one, I don't feel like anyone's going to be emboldened to slap up comics now. Like this is just like a weird
probably
situation,
not, but
like it's a weird situation of just like something that's happened that's just like a one-off. That I don't think no one's gonna be like, I'm doing this for Will Smith. Smack! Like, ain't nobody doing that. I love you, Will.
that reminds me of a Chappelle skit, actually. The Kobe. Like,
Kobe.
Like slapping people. Will Smith. No, it's
Also,
thing I want to say.
Also, one last thing. Shout out Daniel Radcliffe for going ahead of it because someone asked him, and he's like, "I'm so bored of this. I don't ask me because I don't care, and I don't care about no one else."
What can we say that? Yeah,
it's because also it doesn't help.
now. Like
it doesn't help that like people who are like speaking out about it, who were like, "Oh, who were like taking like the quote unquote moral high ground." People on Twitter will dig up their nonsense like nothing else because it happened
Yeah.
to Zoe Kravitz, and like again, that's another thing where I don't approve of, but it's just kind of funny to me, just like the speed of things. How this is just like, to me, cancel culture is not a thing, but it's still funny how this type of thing happens. I was just like immediately like, "Oh, you talking? But what about this thing you did like 6 years ago that people
Plus
just have
the
in the
speed
tongue?"
of memes. The speed of memes too. Like,
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Oh,
I
God.
heard
the amount of time between it happening and me seeing the JoJo parody of it, like, "Oh, you're approaching me," insanely short.
Someone made a full rap song like 2 hours after it happened.
Oh my God.
Impressive.
Dude, like yeah, I saw one that made me laugh just because Eric Andre shared it on Instagram, where they cut it to Fighter Z. they did like the finishing like the winning animation, like the music and everything. It was perfect.
It's like on one hand, it's an insane kind of moment on from a lot of angles, and I'm tired of seeing stuff about it. But it's such a good meme image of the slap. Like,
Oh
it's so,
God, yeah.
so potent.
I mean, the photographer that took that photo, I have to say, like,
yeah,
that
someone modded God
millions.
of War.
Actually, the one last thing I will say is that the funny thing is that the curse continues because someone pointed out that right before that happened, Chris Rock said Macbeth in a theater. In the Dolby Theater.
I saw that too.
There you go.
So someone immediately rushed to like the Macbeth curse Wikipedia page and added that entry in there.
So here's the funniest thing about watching that happen on Sunday night. The night before that, my wife I haven't watching Fresh Prince like front to back, and we're at the last season. The last episode we watched before that was the one where Chris Rock showed up. Oh my God! In drag half of the episode, so that was really weird. That was some whiplash there.
That's funny.
Seeing that,
I mean, I think the way we can probably end this is that, and maybe segue into one last important news story is that maybe it's time the Oscars get canceled. And speaking of canceled, Chris,
I was
take it away.
Something else, but I was going to stay on the Hollywood tip here, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, E3 sounds like it's going to be canceled this year, according to reports that came out today.
Yeah.
Not even an online thing, which is kind of strange.
Thus confirming what I've been saying all along.
And this is the other story.
Honestly, the thing is, I remember those. I remember when you said stuff like this.
I've been saying it. I haven't stopped
since we met.
It's finally, you see, you wish it, it's the truth. You wish it long enough, and the universe gives it to you.
Well, we'll
it's
see.
The secret.
We'll see. I don't know if this is the end of it altogether. I think it could still come back next year.
No, well, yeah, and this is it's sort of what I was thinking about when I saw it too. Just like, kind of like, I think what, not just me, like we've all kind of been talking about, like with how like prominent these sort of like one-off digital presentations have become. It does kind of feel like less and less companies are probably like seeing the value in something like E3 when they can just deliver what they want, the information that they want when they want it, cheaply and very easily. Like they're constantly in control of the narrative, and you don't necessarily have to wait for a big like day of the year to have like have a presentation, and most of the time a lot of these like publishers don't even have things to show. They have a JPEG in the title, like so I don't know if it's maybe exactly. Exactly. They have
we
a
are
concept
thinking about something, and one day it might come out.
That amazing Anthem presentation where they showed the same JPEG like 3 times in a row. Like,
I have seen so many demos where I see like a team that's like, we're working as a team, we're bringing this on. Like, do you have everything? No. We have the title on the screen, and that's a work in progress. Not locked that in yet, but it's like it's something related to this.
May I see it?
No.
No,
This
I
is
mean,
going to be
this,
the greatest game ever. Can we see it?
no, not yet.
Ah,
It will be. Right now, it's a heap of dung, but
Like, honestly, I'm kind of bummed out about this. Like, I get it
Yeah.
that, like, yeah, with like digital events, it's not really as much necessary. But like,
Mhm.
it's just thinking as me as a kid and just thinking about E3, like
Yeah.
there was a special magic to it, even in the years where like not that much is going on or I wasn't excited about the industry in general. There was just something about watching the presentations. I'm like, ooh, what are they going to show next? And like, you can't replicate as much on a digital, like a virtual presentation from home. Like it legitimately was like me and my friends would just like kind of hang out at the same place and just like watch it, like a Super Bowl or something, and just go like, okay, what's gonna be the new game? What's gonna be sick and stuff like that. Yeah. So like this year, not happening. It's a letdown, but I'm hoping that like in the future, like hopefully next year that they get something cool going.
yeah, I mean, like I feel like like this would be a good time to take the year off and kind of retool. You know,
I mean, the biggest problem you have other events. You have like consumer events like PAX. You have Gamescom, which is in Europe, and then you have Summer Games Fest from Jeff Keighley, and then you have the Game Awards in the fall.
Mhm.
And it's harder and harder to find enough announcements to fill every one of those shows.
Exactly.
It's just strange. It's strange to be like that. Like of all those things, E3 used to be the big show, and it's the one that's unraveling.
But
while
then,
the other
but
ones
it's
are
also
sustaining.
it's also the one that's the most expensive for companies to go to, because the
most
booths there
old-fashioned.
cost like at least $100,000 to have a booth at E3. It has you're going to have to bring like all your team out to LA for X amount of time, and because of the way it's structured, Microsoft and Sony and all those control whatever the message is, you're just kind of slotted in somewhere there, and it's really hard to justify the costs when you're kind of, if you're a smaller studio, like if you're not one of the big three, if you announce something at E3, it's probably going to get buried under Sony announced a new Last of Us game or whatever. That's going to be talk of the town. You're not going to get your small indie title any traction, especially when it's announced with a bunch of 30 to 40 other games. Even if you looked at like the PC Game Show, the Future PC Game Show, I love the fact they did kind of spotlight indies and they spotlight PC games. But when you're announcing 40 games in a 3-hour span, you're like, I don't remember what half those games were. And I was going there for work. I'm like, I saw something. I don't know. It was a trailer, maybe.
And not even just the big three too. When you think about it, it's like like Ubisoft gets a show, EA gets a show, Activision, Bethesda, like all these guys get a big presentation for an hour where they throw game after game after game. And then like, either you kind of forget about it, they forget about it. Like, who here remembers Beyond Good and Evil 2? Anyone? Like,
I mean, yes.
I do. Dude, I've been mad
Shak,
for like a decade plus.
Let it go, buddy. It's never coming.
I'm
let
not.
it go,
never
buddy.
happening.
It's never gonna happen.
I legitimately made a TikTok about this last month, and someone was like, "Oh, hey, what game that's been forgotten that you are you still mad about?"
I think I saw
said,
that and I
Beyond
laughed.
freaking Good and Evil 2.
I wanted to say,
I want the game to come out, but it seems like all the people involved for that game have kind of left the studio. So I'm like, I guess that's just never happening.
Yeah,
and to kind of say, to what like Shak was saying, like, and I wrote about this in the article I wrote about like E3 just going away. Like there really was like a genuine excitement when you were a kid. Like I remember, like I didn't watch it, but I remember like the in like June, when the like gaming magazines like Nintendo Power would come out about E3 and like running to the library to see like what had come out.
and showing like hundreds of previews and everything, and you're like, oh,
being like, holy shit, like,
yeah.
But now it kind of like it sort of feels like it's like you can have that in sort of like smaller little doses, right? Because it's like I kind of feel the same way now. Like the way I did, like whenever I see that, like like okay, Nintendo announced like in 3 days there's gonna be a big Nintendo Direct, and I'm like, yes, like okay, let's see what they're bringing out. Like I get that excitement, and then I it's like I can have that anticipation, and it's like there just and it comes and it kind of goes, right? I think more like people, depending on what your like preference is, really, like if because Sony has a showcase now, and I don't, is Microsoft doing anything? Like they need to.
They usually save their stuff for like E3 when they have like, those big presentations.
They do have the ID at Xbox stuff. They do have the kind of indie showcases. They've now done like the Summer of Xbox. They find ways to make events.
Yeah, so like if you
But
you
it's not
find
it's not on
something
a
you like,
it's not on a frequent level as say a Nintendo Direct
No,
or PlayStation.
it's just
State of
whenever
Play.
Xbox like we're doing thing. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
can't
like-
keep the pace up to the others. Yeah, they don't have enough to.
I mean,
So,
that
but,
being
you know,
said,
but-
Microsoft should be able to because they have like infinite studios. They just
They should.
they just
Well, they
can't
should.
produce anything with those infinite studios.
Yeah.
Looking like
Same
Ultron.
It's like they don't have to. It's like we own everything. Screw you guys. We'll tell you when we tell you.
Here's Halo. Oh crap! Stick it back in the oven.
It's not done yet. Whoa, put it
It's
back.
not done yet.
But yeah, no, that's kind of what I mean. Like if there's something specific that you like, as much as I don't care about Ubisoft, even like Ubisoft has one. I think didn't like EA was doing one for a little while. Like
EA Play,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like you can sort of find that little like moment where you're like excited for a presentation. It doesn't have to be specifically centralized on E3. And now if it happens more frequently throughout the year, it's kind of just like, all right, cool, like whatever.
Yeah. Dana had a good comment in the chat earlier that she and I showed up and in the industry and now E3 is not happening anymore. So I cursed it.
You ruined it, man.
On me.
I had a
On me.
chance. No, actually, no, I didn't have a chance. Y'all worked. I held down the fort that one time when I was
Yes.
when I was
Yeah.
interning. I held down the fort while y'all were
remember
over
that.
there. And I was
I mean, to
jealous.
be fair, I think you said you could go if you wanted to.
I just, I didn't have money for it. I didn't
Yeah.
have money for the plane.
Remember, dude, we were there. We were in the office till like midnight that night.
Dude,
Holy
those
Jesus.
hours were long,
That
man.
was crazy.
Oh, because we'd be there 9 and you'd be
Yeah.
there at midnight.
Yeah,
And
we'd
the
be
time
there, yeah,
difference, we had to
covered-
cover stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
me, Shaq, and Mel. Oh, those were
Yeah,
the days.
man, those are the days.
Come back next year, E3. That's a lifelong dream. Please come
Yeah,
back next year.
the thing is, I just got to do it the one time. Like,
Yeah, right?
even, like, I know it's just
Even
gonna be a
if it
lot of me
sucks,
being
yeah.
in line for things, but like, I just got to be there just to like take in the atmosphere of being
But
there.
that's kind of the funny thing too, because I remember too, like when Cody went and he was
Yeah.
saying sort of the same thing that like it was his dream to go to E3, like the whole time he was like a kid, he loved, like it was so exciting, and then he went there and it was like it was so like disillusioning. Like he went there as a journalist, so he couldn't like really enjoy it. He was just like running from interview to interview and show to show. Like he didn't get to like enjoy any of it.
Yeah, that's why when they made it public, I knew that it was a bad. Like, I figured it was a bad idea, but at the same time, I was still just like, if I could just go as an attendee and not have to think about interviews
Yeah.
or press conferences and just go and just play stuff, then it'd be
Yeah.
a much better experience.
Oh, that first year when they opened it up, it's like, oh, but we can go
Yeah.
to Mecca, like
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's accessible.
I don't know. Let's
plebs can
see
walk
what
in.
what the future holds for it too, because yeah, like it just even seems like the way like the show floor the past like the years like prior to COVID, like there really wasn't that much to see. Like the last thing that I genuinely remember being like, wow, they did that was the was it like the 2015 E3 where they Nintendo set up that whole big display for Breath of the Wild, and it was
Yeah, I
like
mean-
genuinely like awe-inspiring to see how much they did with that.
I mean, I've been going to E3 since 2010, and it definitely feels like less filled because you have more open space. Like as I said, the last year I was there, they had like a Bang energy drink thing there with dancers, and I'm like,
set up a
why is this taking up like a quarter of the hall? Where's like everything? Because Activision wasn't there, and Activision had a
Yeah.
massive space, and Sony wasn't there. Oh, Sony had a smaller thing. And Microsoft. So everyone had kind of done their own thing. So it just felt like, what's on the show floor anymore? I guess THQ Nordic has a cool statue over there, I guess.
Yeah, it was the same thing with Fan Expo in Toronto that I said. Like what the year that I went, that they carved out like a giant corner of the show floor to put a literal EB Games with like wall to wall
Yes.
Funko Pops. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this show is dead. I never have to come back.
I
Like,
was that was honestly one of the points where I was like, the magic isn't there as much.
no,
anymore.
it was.
I don't-
They
if I wanna
set
go
up
to
an
EB
EB Games. Like
If I want to go to
wow.
EB Games, I will not pay to go to
Yeah.
EB Games.
Exactly.
is there a huge sale? No, then why?
No,
Yeah.
the what was
Literally
the
just
point
EB
of being
game.
there?
There's
Yeah.
enough people selling Funko Pops at Fan Expo already. We didn't need any EB games there.
Selling all the generic stuff too. Yeah, like not even the good
Jesus.
stuff.
Mm.
We don't really have a
So
review
weird.
section this week, so we'll maybe just hit one
I mean,
last
well,
news.
Shaq
I mean,
does.
Well,
I did-
besides
Shaq's
that,
got
like
a
we're
movie.
going down to 5 things for once.
yes.
Yeah.
So we'll just hit one last news story, going back to
Yes.
Hollywood a little bit.
Oh, right. This is
so-
well, yeah, I could. No, go ahead.
Go go by all means.
All right, cool.
Jet.
Yeah, this is very, very sad news. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, like really sad news is that Bruce Willis is retired from acting. He got recently died. Well, he's been diagnosed publicly with aphasia, which is like a neurological degenerative disease, which affects like communication. So in terms of like how he speaks and how he receives speech or whatnot. So it's a sad way to go out, especially with like, I mean, he's not dead, he's just retiring, but still,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Well, he's taking an indefinite step back. He might
Exactly.
come back if things get better, but
potentially, if anything, he's already done like 8 movies that are coming out between now and 2023.
yeah. So if he
and-
like takes 2 years off, you won't even notice.
The thing is that like, yeah, because in the last couple of years he's been like weirdly doing a lot of like direct-to-video action movies where he's just like barely in it, and
Or Glass,
or not. Yeah, Glass is like the last major thing he was in, I would say.
major.
Yeah, the Glass was a big deal. Like,
It just wasn't a good movie.
exactly. But just
yeah.
but just like outside of that, he's done a lot of movies that just like no one really knows outside of like the direct-to-video market. That a lot of people were just kind of like, what is he doing? Is he just kind of like slumming it or like half-assing it? And to the point where like even the Razzies had made like worst Bruce Willis movie in a 2021 picture and had like 8 movies there. And thankfully they rescinded that once this whole thing came out, because that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
just in bad
Very
taste.
bad
And honestly,
taste.
yeah. And like, I mean, the Razzies are just bad taste at this point.
I mean,
Anyway.
yes,
Well,
it's
it's like-
designed to be. Who was
Yeah.
it? Like Sandra, was it Sandra Bullock that actually accepted hers in person?
Sandra Bullock and Halle Berry are like the two that for sure showed up to like accept their stuff. But like,
I love actors that
Did
just
they
kind
know
of
it was a
accept-
joke, or like did they think it was serious? And then
no,
they were like,
100%.
they
They know
owned it, yeah.
they're in on the
Yeah,
joke.
Okay.
But it's
They just think
one
it's
of those
funny.
things where but the thing is like the Razzies is like a very mean-spirited joke.
Yeah.
Because like
yeah,
even
it's
with-
mean.
like because they also rescinded Shelley Duvall's performance for The Shining as worst actress, which also didn't really make that much sense. That they nominated her in the first place. But besides the point, with Bruce Willis is just the last couple of years, first like there's been like articles going like they're just kind of like pushing him to like essentially his team has been pushing him to make these movies because on the cheap so he can get paid or whatnot.
Mhm.
It's kind of weirdly gross. It's not weirdly gross. It's very gross.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just a shame because Bruce Willis is such a force. When you think about like
Yeah, I
his
know.
like the what 30, 40 years he's been in movies and on television, like from like Moonlighting to Die Hard to like Death Becomes Her. Like he's such a
Good
versatile.
movie. That's a legit
See,
good movie.
He's a great versatile performer, and
No, that's what. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing too. Like when you see him in like actual like dramatic roles, like immediately my mind would just go right to the Sixth Sense. Like he is a phenomenal actor when he's given the right material, right? Like.
he's a great action star, yeah, great dramatic role, like comedy, like that's one of those things where like people that snug up on people that like he's very good at comedic timing and everything. Like he could legitimately do it all, and especially like at his peak, he was the guy. And so for this stuff, like we're at the very least, he's got like a very, very high outpouring of support from everybody, from like friends, family, coworkers. Like M. Night Shyamalan wrote like a really nice message on his Twitter and everything. It's very heartwarming to see. It's just it's upsetting, but like he's left behind a very, very good legacy, regardless of like the last couple of years he's been working, but like he's still left like a crazy legacy.
I was gonna say like one of the last times I heard about him was like this really unfair comparison to Nicolas Cage, where it's like, oh, he's just doing this to get out of debt, and it's like, well, you're just downplaying everything he's doing, right? Like maybe he's taking some crappy indie roles, but like doesn't mean he's not giving it at his all.
I
And
would say
the other thing,
unfair.
And even with Nick Cage, even he
He's
said
good
that, like,
when he's in good stuff. Like
no, it's not even that he's good or bad in stuff or whatever. Is that even in the direct-to-video movies, he says he's never half-assed a role, and that's, to be fair, that's
I
true.
believe that.
He commits to every single role it is, no matter how bad the movie ends up being. You can't say he doesn't commit.
Absolutely.
Without question. He does a lot of really bad movies, but he always delivers whatever that movie needs.
Whatever the
might
movie,
be really bad.
Whatever he feels is required of him for the movie, he will go 100% on it.
Yeah. And like I said, like when he's given really good material, like Nick Cage, like he proves he's like a very, very good actor.
He has an Oscar for a reason.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I mean, like
buying castles as well.
Yeah.
Who doesn't though?
I remember I was in a comedy. I was at like a Yuck Yucks once, and so one of the comedians was making cracks about Nick Cage, and I literally went up to him after the show. I was like, "Excuse me, Nick Cage has an Oscar, damn it! Like, you leave him alone."
And then you slapped him.
And then I clapped him. I blew the baby powder off my hand and I slapped him good.
Leave Nick Cage's name out of your mouth.
All love to Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too. Like, it's obviously not the ideal way. I think he or any of us probably wanted his exit from Hollywood, but at the same time, the dude's 67 years old and he's still being billed for action movies. I think maybe it was time the guy got a bit of a break and got to actually enjoy retirement.
Well,
I mean, I don't think
this is the thing too, though, right? Like, because I saw someone else say, "Oh, I wish him a happy retirement." Like, well, no, going from being a huge actor and singer too, like he had a whole musical career at one point too, to lose that faculty, Someone said, "Well, he's still alive at least." Like, yeah, it's better than an obituary.
But if he can't,
also
the thing that brought him joy, he can't do anymore. That's a big thing. Like, even if he might have wanted to cut back in acting, but being forced to because you can't do it, that's a very different thing.
Being able to potentially communicate in your day-to-day life with your loved ones and family.
That's not retirement. That is, he's going to have a road to recovery, and it might be hard, and it's going to be a lot of work, but he might get there. But it's not like he's just going to sit on the couch all day. That's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this condition bounced around in a doctor's office myself, dealing with family members and things like this, and it's not. Yeah, it's an unfortunate end to his career, and hopefully not the end though. Hopefully we don't know the extent of the condition. Hopefully there's a recovery down the line, but if nothing else, we wish him the best for the road ahead. That's a good way to exit off that segment.
Anyway,
so we'll move into we'll move into our one review, since we have Shak, who is one of our movie people, essentially. It's always a strong movie talk when you're here, so we're leading into your expertise on this one.
So yes, I'm here to talk about The Bubble, which is the brand new Judd Apatow movie that's about the pandemic. So this movie is coming out in this live stream. It's technically tomorrow, so April 1st. The embargo just lifted. You'll see my written review. It'll be up tomorrow morning on cgmagonline.com. But essentially, the premise of The Bubble is that it's essentially around the filming of this movie called Cliff B6, which is sort of like a half-assed, intentionally bad Jurassic Park ripoff with flying dinosaurs and stuff. But essentially, there's a massive cast of characters. Just the main cast of this fake movie is Karen Gillan, Iris Apatow, Judd Apatow's daughter, as this TikTok superstar. Pedro Pascal as this veteran actor, Dieter Bravo. We got David Duchovny and Leslie Mann as this on-again, off-again couple. There's Keegan-Michael Key, Guz Khan, who's from a lot of people recognize from Army of Thieves. He was the getaway driver in that Army of the Dead spinoff. He was entertaining in that. He's very entertaining in here as well. There's that's just the movie cast. There's also like the director, which is played by Fred Armisen. There's like the producer and executive. The producer's played by Peter Serafinowicz, who you've seen in like dozens of comedies and everything. And Kate McKinnon plays the executive of like the movie studio. There's a bunch of cameos that I haven't even mentioned. Maria Bakalova from who basically stole Borat 2 from Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
She plays one of the like hotel attendants. It's a big kind of ensemble comedy that's sort of like it's like a mixture of like Judd Apatow described it as Tropic Thunder meets a Christopher Guest movie. So like it's very improv heavy, and unfortunately, I didn't like it. It's such a letdown considering this massive cast that it's first off, this movie's way too long. Just like Judd Apatow movies, they happen to run like a little bit too long.
I think that's the same for all Judd Apatow movies. Like they feel like they should be like an hour 40 max, and they go for like 2.5 hours. You're like, why?
This movie is 2 hours and it's 126 minutes. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes long.
That is too long for.
It's way too long for what feels like very little substance to it. Just because, like, it feels. The problem with it feels like there's not much to it. Like the improv is a problem because not much of what they're actually doing is particularly funny. Like there's funny situations in terms of just like, oh right, this is like they're dealing with their own individual egos. Because like Karen Gillan's character, she's coming back to the Cliff Beast franchise because she tried to branch off and that totally failed. And then you've got the A-list Hollywood couple who adopted a child who doesn't really give a shit about them at all. And then you've got Fred Armisen as like the indie Sundance director being forced onto this big project. And then also David Duchovny's character is like a producer and he constantly tries to rewrite the movie. Like these are all like funny situations and a way to like kind of be a satire of Hollywood. But the problem is the jokes don't really hit as hard as they want to. And gags will go on much longer than they have to because they're improvising a lot.
But my point, I was just going to say, is the situations that they seem to be setting up are the typical Hollywood joke. Like,
exactly.
Is there anything? It feels like if you were having an SNL skit and you just did this, that is the joke you'd pick.
That's also the thing, because this might have felt refreshing maybe like a year ago, but now that we're in like year 3 of this pandemic. We've dealt with all this stuff and none of it feels particularly fresh or incisive or going like, oh, that's a very clever thing you did there. It's just not, there's not that much to it. The one there, like, it's not completely devoid of laughs. Like there were a pretty couple chuckles. Mainly Keegan-Michael Key, his character is like, when he comes back to set, he's almost like a cult leader. Like he's gone in this whole religion. He's trying to like force his book onto people, and it's just not working. And then even David Duchovny has a couple pretty funny lines, but other than that, like it's just very inconsistent and just it doesn't hit anywhere as much as it should. It's a big letdown for me. This cast is too stacked for this movie to be so overblown. And again, there's really good cameos by people that I'm not going to mention, but it's not a good movie. I'm upset.
I feel like Judd Apatow had that success with Anchorman at the Improv.
Was that even Judd Apatow?
He produced it.
They produced it.
He's known for the 40-year-old virgin and Knocked Up.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, in terms of direct,
those ones did really well with the improv and stuff, and I feel like he just kind of got into that rut. Like this is going to be like the thing now. That's a really good cast, but not necessarily an improv cast.
Yeah,
you know, like
some of them are. I feel like are able to like kind of ad lib well. So like Leslie Mann, obviously. She's done it before, like in all of his movies. Keegan-Michael Key again has very good comic timing like that. Actually, Pedro Pascal, he has very good comic timing. I will say that a lot of his jokes are very just like he's very eccentric. He's like the veteran actor who's slumming it in this role in this blockbuster franchise.
And Kate McKinnon too should be pretty good at that. She's been like one of the main.
She's only there like
for years.
She's there maybe. He has like 2 or 3 small scenes, and even her thing is she's like the entitled exec who's like jet setting and already has the vaccine, even though everyone else is waiting for theirs and stuff. it's all just very. It feels very tired and just not as good as something like Tropic Thunder.
Which I don't know if does that movie still hold up?
Thing is, I think it is very problematic for obvious
Oh,
reasons, but
Yeah,
I think it's still.
just
I
obvious
think
reasons.
as a satire, I think it works. It's
Yeah,
it's a lot sharper.
Right.
I think it still holds
'Cause-
up in that sense.
yeah, because I would argue like that a lot of the stuff that like kind of makes it problematic is done like deliberately, like to just like point out like a lot of the more like ridiculous things about it, right? Like maybe yes, like they could have done something different, but like taking it to such an extreme place, like a guy who, you know, such a method actor that he like tries to, you know, make himself black, like
Yes,
like
and everyone calls him out for like that's a bad idea.
It's never like it's never like he's not the punchline for how stupid he is. Like,
but it's just this one just doesn't really have a sharp point to it beyond hey, we're just entitled celebrity, like we're still celebrities, but we're still crazy and we're losing our minds in this pandemic and stuff. It's just
it exists is basically the point.
Thing is it exists.
It's
Judd Apatow, like I appreciate him making a sillier movie because like most of his directorial efforts are mostly just dramedies, and this one is just like the first straight comedy he's done since I want to say 40-Year-Old Virgin. But otherwise it's just it's a bummer. It's you're gonna forget this movie exists in like a month or so.
Oh, that's fun.
I better watch it before then so I could get it. It's that cast. It's like I want to trust this cast, but
it's got its moments, but it's few and far between. This movie does not need to be 2 hours. At best, like an hour 35.
Yeah, like a brief 90.
But that sums up that review.
That's our reviews for this week. We don't have a lot with us, anyways. There's more reviews on cgmagonline.com as always. So moving to our last section, what you playing? I've got a preview going up on the site tomorrow for a crossover game between two franchises that I hadn't played before. So you can check that out in the morning. It's
that weird thing.
That weird thing.
Weird thing.
I'll have more to say when the review is up in a couple of weeks. But and I'm also reviewing something else that you'll see the review for on Monday. So come back for that one. I wish I could say more because I'm excited about it. But I picked up Disco Elysium this week.
Nice.
I've been kind of hearing little things here and there about it, and like a coworker said, like, oh, you should play it and like laid out all this stuff. And wow, I'm blown away by just like I'm still in the first day of the game, and I'm just blown away. Like the amount of writing is just exhaustive. Like and just the quality of it too, like it's so genuine and like powerful. Like even that kid screaming at you, Kuno, like seems like a one-note character, but you get into it, you pick the right options, and there's a lot more going on there with him.
And if I'm not mistaken, too, from what I've heard of it, 'cause I only played like a little bit of it, like even the RPG elements like will affect the storytelling, like the way you build your character like changes how you like interact in different scenarios.
Yeah, because like so far, like I've got like a few empathetic traits, like one is straight up empathy. So like you can, if your skill is high enough, you automatically pick up on stuff, or you can pass the skill checks better, like any RPG really, or any tabletop RPG for that matter. But there was things that I wasn't picking up on until I put a point into them to try and pass the check, and then I was finding like I would get other options and other dialogues that wouldn't have popped up otherwise. All really good meaty RPG stuff, but just the way that they go about it with the writing is so like the mystery that's set up, and like the mystery with yourself and the actual crime, and just all the writing that goes into the people around you and the situation that you find yourself in, and just the way it sets itself up too, right? So at the very start of the game, if for those who haven't like played it, you're coming out of like an alcoholic bender, and you've like brained yourself to try and forget this personal trauma, and just the way that they did that in the game was just really really intriguing. like literally trying to pass checks to see your own face, or like choosing to will yourself not to engage with what you were going through. It's really interesting personal gameplay. It was kind of neat to see, so I'm excited to get into that further. That's me for the week.
Cool. I'm not currently playing anything right now because, like I mentioned, my controllers are busted, so those are in the midst of repairs. But I will say that recently, I realized that I'd never even seen a PS5 in person until like a couple weeks ago. I went to a friend's place and he had it, and I played Sifu for the first time, and I dug it. Like I dug it so much. First off, the haptic, the DualSense controller. I had heard people talk about like the haptic feedback forever, and I was like, "What does this mean?" Like? They kept describing it, but it didn't make sense to me. It's not until I played that opening level that I completely understand what it meant. Because I never thought I could feel individual raindrops on a controller before, and just the fact that I could tell and differentiate between which ones was crazy to me.
Oh, dude, you gotta if you get a chance again, you like genuinely play like the Astros Playroom. Like they do so much with the controller. It's like bonkers how much they show off.
Just the opening level sold me on a PS5 more than anything ever.
Dude.
And so it helps that Sifu is a really good game. It is as hard as everyone says it is, but man, it's one of those things where like it feels so satisfying to do, especially because like remember how I was talking about the overwhelming anxiety for Elden Ring? That isn't as prevalent. Like it's there for Sifu, don't get it twisted, but it's not as much there because like fighting waves of enemies still it feels satisfying as hell. And when you fight that boss and you whoop him, and it's like, oh, that's the stuff right there. I made it to the third stage before I just got completely wiped out. The second boss, I know a lot of people who didn't make it past it the first time. I made it past the first time, but he took out like almost my entire age. Like I went from like 30 to like 70 just on that guy.
Yeah. I've heard crazy stuff about that too. Like even like the way you have to get the true ending of the game. Like you can't age past a certain point. Like it's another one of those games where like I legitimately know where I can improve in myself in that game. And I know that with time I'm gonna be having like deathless runs up to like stage 4. It's gonna be Dark
insane.
Souls. Yeah, you don't want to play Dark Souls. You're just describing every Dark Souls player.
Here's the thing. I hate that I get Dark Souls player. It's because you know why? It's a more appealing package because I have to deal with martial arts instead of just like
swords and sorcery.
Instead of swords and sorcery and rolling is just parrying. Parrying is more fun than rolling.
I mean, you can parry in Dark Souls. It's there.
I know, but it's not as fun. The thing is, it's a slower game. I prefer the speed of Sifu.
I've only seen like gameplay of it, and it looks so cool. Like,
I know people are gonna get at me like, "Yo, you've been talking all this stuff," because I've been talking mad shit about Dark Souls, and like, "Yo, you just been praising Sifu." It's like, listen, I get it. I'm still not gonna like Dark Souls, but I get it.
Oh God.
Yeah, that setting's not for everybody. Like I get that. I'll back you up on that one.
But yeah, Sifu, highly recommend if you can play it. Play it on PS5.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the complete opposite side of the RPG spectrum because I dove into the AI dungeon a little bit. And so for anyone who doesn't know, the AI dungeon is like a free to play sort of online like AI based text based RPG like dungeon crawler where like you sort of like it'll generate a story for you, and then like as you put in inputs the AI will kind of start to learn and like create an adventure for you. This can work and this cannot work, and when it doesn't work it is the funniest thing you will ever experience. Like I kind of like saw it through Oni Plays, and they played it years ago when it was still very like early, so it's kind of gotten better. But sometimes it can still break like incredibly bad. So I started an adventure as a rogue like in the first prompt it gives you is like, you notice a jewelry store, you hear someone say something, and I typed in like, like turn around. And throughout the course of this interaction, I got pulled underground somehow to some like goblin like nest. And so I went up to someone took me to the Goblin King, and I typed in, I made my character say, "You're not the Goblin King, I am," and it like half broke the AI. And then I typed in like, throw Goblin King out of chair. So it throws him out of the chair. It like half described him dying. I typed in throw chair onto Goblin King, and it's like, so I basically just like caved his skull in and crushed him. And then so like I declared myself the Goblin King, and like this is where things got really off the rails, because like, I typed in like, I was just like, I am the Goblin King, bring me wenches and beer. And I'm not joking. The way the way that it like set up the next part of the story was that a goblin guard left and came back with a barrel of beer, and this word for word, pus-filled goblin sluts.
Hey, yo!
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what?
So this
like,
is just like D&D from hell.
It breaks sometimes like so bad. Like another time too, like I was in like a store and I was trying to like rob it because I was playing a rogue. So I was getting into an altercation with the store owner. So I just typed like punch store owner, and it like the way it described it was that I punched this guy like in the throat, and he started bleeding from like every part of him, and he just like so basically like one punched him like Saitama. And then this girl that I was with was like going crazy, and then for whatever reason she suddenly just became like bound and gagged, because I kept trying to like say like, no, it's like, it's chilled, like don't worry. And she's like, it kept saying I was like removing her gag to talk, and I was like, what the? And then recently I was playing one where for some crazy reason, like it started off in a fantasy setting. I got pulled into some like weird like altar. My guardian angels showed up. It showed me a box. Like there was a box involved that went on for like an hour. Like I kept opening the box. There was another box inside with another box inside. Like it was like quantum reality. It was stupid. And then so this guardian angel shows up, tells me I'm the greatest hero that the land has ever known. I don't know what I did to earn that. I started off as a rogue who was looking to like plunder some store, and then all this craziness happened. He takes, I'm not joking, he takes a television out of the box and shows me hentai, basically. Like it was literally like cartoon porn. which is already troubling because we're in a fantasy setting, and he pulls a TV out of nowhere. So I kept his skull in with the staff. So I just typed in bludgeon guardian angel with staff, and I just murdered him. But then I was covered in blood, so I was like, somehow I ended up in a hospital in modern settings, and for whatever reason, Nurse Joy was like taking care of me, like actual nurse, because it put it in capitals, Nurse Joy from Pokemon. And then I asked for a new change of clothes, and she implied that I needed a change of clothes because I have an no, I made that joke. So she wanted to get me a nurse's outfit, and she's like, I want you to look good for your job. And I was like, oh no, I need a better change of clothes because I have an interview in 5 minutes. I was just like rolling with the new modern setting. So I got into this interview where this guy was asking me like actual like job related questions, and I was like responding with stupid things. Like he was like, what was the biggest challenge of your last job? And I was like, I couldn't stop murdering the patients, because like even though I never said it specifically, the interview was about me being like a doctor or a nurse. So I just like was like rolling with it in a silly way. So then I murdered the interviewer and became the new interviewer, and that went nowhere.
Oh my god!
I just wanted to see how I could break the algorithm. I was just trying to break it at this point, because I was in modern times.
Like hours ago.
And then yeah, so then I just typed in like return to Fantasyland, and then it was like you go home, you return to like because it was the place is called Larion. It's like you return to Larion, you go home, your phone is fully charged. I was like, when did I get a phone?
Let's not
It
let
just-
games,
Like imagine going to the Shire, Lord of the Rings,
Dude,
and then you just see somebody with a brand new like 64 Sony TV.
Gandalf hands you a PSP and says, "Take this and tell no one," and leaves. Like I'm telling you, play it. Like it's free to play, but they sort of attached like kind of monetization elements to it, just because like this thing requires a lot of like time and energy to maintain, and the guy who was running it, like basically like he like this and like years. This was like years ago. So like when Oni Plays did it, like they actually like in one of their episodes like try to like shout out their Patreon, because like this was pretty like not well known. And after that video went up, like everyone flooded the site and basically just like broke it. So like it requires a certain amount of funding. So there's only a certain amount of like prompts you can actually type in during a day. I think it's like it like caps at like a couple hundred. And then you have to sort of like let it recharge it, like because the algorithm needs time to like rest and like learn shit, right? And then plus it's like, but it's also like it's also
after you drew with it,
especially after me was messing with it.
Like, well, they covered so many other games because of what you did,
and they it kind of says like right on like straight up on the website, it's like that like a lot of places like will add like that, like you've run out of energy thing, like as a way to like manipulate people to giving them money. But they're like this way they're trying to do it as a way to like actually fund this, because it is free and it does take a lot of like resources to manage. There's also like different types of AI that it runs too, like some that are more like detail oriented but take a longer time to like generate story prompts. So like depending on what you run with too, like it'll give you different experiences. But definitely play it. It's just AI Dungeon. It is so much fun. Even if you I'm watching
really Googling this shit right now.
Like watching Oni Plays, like the way they were doing it was like they number one didn't understand how like text-based RPGs work, and like they were just being like stupid on purpose for comedy, which I appreciate. Even when you try to play it, I wasn't trying to be like them. I was trying to play it legitimately. It was still just like breaking and like completely like losing the plot. And it's so much fun. Like it is so stupid.
and this is how AIs learn to be racist.
Oh god, no! This is what this is
like all those experiments that have gone horribly wrong in like hours.
It was super funny. Like it's so good.
That is a nightmare.
Just the fact that he pulled out a television and it was like literally just said like he shows you a cartoon. There were many lewd sexual acts taking place. I was like, this guy showed me hentai. Why? Like,
because of players like you being
just some weird otaku pretending to be he's watched too much anime and he can't like associate reality anymore with fantasy anymore. Here is this special thing I must show you. I am actually your guardian angel, Oni-san.
Well, that was a ride.
Oh, dude, play it, man. Just play it. Spend an hour with Disco Elysium and then play AI Dungeon, and you'll have a blast.
I don't know. That's jarring.
Brendan, you playing anything?
No, I more Elden Ring. That's about it. Because apparently I can't put that game down. But I'm still just min-maxing my character. I've been using this sort of Night and Flame and just kind of seeing how much I can upgrade that thing, and just basically destroying low-level people in single hits. I'm like, this is fun. But then I go after bosses. I'm like, nope, they still kill me.
You stop suffering now. You're just like, take this.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I went and killed like the wolf den boss dude, the wild like werewolf thing.
Yeah, it's the wild man.
And like in 2 hits, the sword knight.
I am a god.
I'm like, yay! 2 hitted him. I'm cool now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. I've seen a lot of good memes go around like that, where it's like when you get to a certain point where like you can just run around the world and just like one hit kill everything, but then you get to you feel like a god, and then you get to a boss and he just like flattens you with one move, and it's like.
if anything, I'm just more impressed by like the fact that there's so many builds that people can make. Dude, the fact that I saw someone make a Sonic the Hedgehog build in Elden Ring, where it's just literally just roll attacks. I'm like, how did you? The fact that this game even had that as an option is like odd to me.
What I'm really sad that the build I have right now was about 3 times as strong before the latest update, but they're like, yeah, that weapon is way too powerful, so they nerfed it. But it still can still take down one of the early bosses in 2 hits. I'm like, how much stronger was it?
I definitely think, like, you know, because I haven't progressed much.
Oh, that's right. Dana's not. I also got to play Superfuse, which is the it's the new Diablo like from the team at Raw Fury, and it's basically if the boys were mixed with Diablo, I guess, or Cyberpunk.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, so you have like basically super powered elite people that are like, yeah, we're basically, think of the boys were like the 7
morally questionable.
Yeah, they're horrible people and they just don't care about the subjects. But then it's been so long that the people are like, no, we don't care anymore. You kind of suck. So then and that is until there is a weird like uprising of like mutagen goo type stuff that's turning people into like zombie creatures, I guess is the best way to describe it. And at that point, they create enforcers. Enforcers are basically lesser gods. They basically made like superheroes, but the gods are just really powerful superheroes. And yeah, you play one of those. But the thing that was interesting about Superfuse is the amount you can adjust your attacks and power. You can literally go in there and say, I want my punch to do area damage, and I want it to throw enemy forward, and I want it to have like lightning effects, and you can kind of do that, and you can kind of adjust it that level of complexity. And the more you put into how powerful the attack is, the more energy it takes, the more time it takes. So you have to kind of like min-max how everything works. So imagine Diablo, if you could, your arrow attack, you could adjust how many arrows it shoots, and it has lightning damage just by going through menus. So I thought that was really cool. It's still super early. I think they've only been a few months of development. It doesn't come out till 2023.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, but so far it's looking really cool. I love the art style. It has the kind of like image style comics art style to it, and I love the just the attention to detail. They're putting all the characters voice acted. They've like made sure the voice actors are brought in early on to make sure that the characters feel like they should. Like I was playing as the Berserker, which is the black man, but they got Eli Harris, who is a voice actor, and they brought him in really early on in the development to make sure that as the game's being developed and as they kind of fleshing out his character, they're like, hey, is this script good? Does this feel like, because they're like Norwegian guys making it, so like, does this feel like it's offensive? He's like, nah, we're good. So I really did like that they kind of brought that in early, and they're trying to work with the voice actors to make the characters feel natural and feel organic to the world. And I thought that was really good.
That's a novel approach. Yeah, it's a bit nice to see that happen more often.
Yeah, I mean, I do love horrible racist stereotypes in games, but you know, if we don't have that, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we could take that out just a little bit.
maybe, you know, if you want to
try something else.
You know, maybe. Man, I will say this: just one thing is that there's discourse on Elden Ring about hair, because like I've seen that people are like, at least like some black like players are going like, man, I would appreciate having a couple more black hairstyles into this, considering it's all like anime haircuts and stuff like that. And the way people the way like some players responded, like they thought they might as well have slapped them in the face.
Yeah, well,
it's like, bro, it's just an option for hair that isn't just an afro or a shaved head. That's all we're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, like, considering how they respond, if you like say, hey, we have difficulty options, so this isn't like so hard to play, and you know,
I mean,
judging by that response, yeah.
I would even say that a lot of the anime hairstyles they have on option kind of suck. I would have liked a lot more of those too. Like,
Yeah.
there's really not a lot on offer. But then again, Dark Souls likes or Soulsborne games are like weird because you'll spend like 6 hours making your character, and then the rest of the game under a helmet, you'll never see what your character looks like. So,
literally never. Like literally
if
never.
you you'll find really good armor like that makes all the work you did in that character creation like worthless.
Yeah, it's never struck me
Yeah.
as like the most powerful creator, like
You know,
character creator.
I
Like,
think
even
it's-
like
the
I mean,
character
most,
creator
most character creators aren't like that.
I mean, I'll be honest there. The Elden Ring character creator is really powerful and lets you do a lot of stuff with it.
Mhm.
It's just weird in how it does it. Like the sliders, you're like, what does this slider mean? I don't
Yeah.
know what this slider does. Oh, it makes my face fat. Cool. Why does it do that? Okay.
At this point, that's a lot of character. Like whenever I play like WWE games
Yeah.
and those character creations, they go to like the specifics of like the face and like cheeks and
Yeah.
everything, and I'm like, I don't know this stuff. I don't really care, so I'm gonna just like press random and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not like looking like the Moon Man from those old McDonald's commercials.
I mean, you kind of do. 90% of the time, you do look like the
I
Moon
mean,
Man, but
yeah, but I try not to.
I mean
But
that is like the Elden Ring character creator does let you make a lot of freakish creations, but problem is hard to make a good looking creations. They all look horrible.
that's the thing, right? Like even like when I tried Dark Souls 3 recently, it's like, what is this character creator? This is crappy. Like everything I make looks like Gollum.
I mean, it's really powerful. It just isn't good to make anything that looks like humans.
Exactly. Yeah. One of my favorite web videos came back this week, the Monster Factory from the McElroy brothers, and
it came back. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
didn't know
like-
they were gonna make any more. Oh,
yeah,
I gotta go back and look at
Take a
that.
little break because the last one for Creative Staters Kings 3 ruffled some feathers because it wasn't the most tasteful in some ways. But anyway,
Yeah.
they're back with Elden Ring and it's fantastic. They did some
Okay.
things with that character creator. Yeah, the best thing I can advise actually is just doing that similar face thing. Because
Mhm.
that's where the money gets made. Some powerful stuff comes out of that. But yeah, I think that's probably going to do it for us for this week. If you'd like to read more on these topics and more, you can find full coverage at cgmagonline.com. Be sure to follow CG Magazine on all the socials. Just search CG Mag. And if you have any questions or comments, send them to podcast@cgmagonline.com. Shak, nice to have you back on. Where can people find you?
I'm glad to be back, and you can find me on all social media. Shak Excellence, SHAK Excellence. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. I want to get back into doing Twitch again once I can get my controller fixed and try and do it on somewhat regularly. But yeah, right now, just follow me on just mainly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I've been doing surprisingly well on TikTok, like way better than I've ever
Dude,
thought I
you're
would.
crushing it.
Dude,
You are doing well.
Thank you. But yeah, just follow me on all those places, and yeah.
Awesome. Jordan.
You can find me on Instagram, drawing some silly stuff, and on TikTok, sometimes making silly videos at Ninja X Jordan, and you can find me on YouTube at Ninja Reviews. I will have a video of my crazy misadventure in the AI dungeon coming very soon.
Yes, please.
Audience discretion advised on that one.
Yeah,
Probably.
no, you know what? This one was actually pretty tamed. This was the Nurse Joy one, and it's
Okay.
It's
the
a
Okay,
ride.
PG-13 one.
Yeah,
There's no TVs full of hentai on that one.
yeah, it's a ride.
And Brendan, where can people find you?
Beef526 on basically everything.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Hoogathy and here on Twitch at Guild2Taps. So on behalf of everyone here at CG Magazine, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Later.